Let me ask you a question. Would you rather look rich or be rich? Because those two are not the same thing. And the difference between them is often the reason why some people quietly build millions while others stay trapped in debt. Here's the truth: acting broke, even when you're not, is one of the smartest money strategies you'll ever use. Let me explain. First, it's about perception. When you live below your means, you're not trapped by pressure to impress others. No one cares if you're driving a 10-year-old car or wearing last season's shoes, but you will care when that extra money is sitting in your investment account. Acting broke gives you freedom, the freedom to choose opportunities, invest aggressively, and never stress over bills. Second, you avoid the biggest wealth trap: lifestyle inflation. The moment most people get a raise, they upgrade their car, rent, vacations, and gadgets. But here's the problem. Every upgrade locks them into new expenses that eat away at future wealth. By acting broke, you keep expenses low and redirect that extra income into assets that grow. Investment. It's the difference between buying a luxury watch today or owning a portfolio that pays for 10 watches later. Third, there's a hidden advantage in stealth wealth. When people can't measure your success by flashy spending, you're protected. No unwanted advice. No jealousy, no fake friends asking for money. You're building wealth quietly while others chase approval. And that's powerful because wealth grows best in silence. Finally, remember, this money works hardest when you don't spend it. Every dollar you don't waste on showing off is a soldier you send into battle, working, compounding, multiplying. Over time, those invisible choices create visible wealth. That's the real flex: being financially unshakable while everyone else is chasing trends. So, why does acting broke make you rich? Because it forces discipline, protects your wealth, and accelerates compounding. The loudest person in the room might look successful, but the quiet one, the one you'd never suspect, is usually the one with real freedom. Don't aim to look rich, aim to be rich. And the secret is simple: stay humble, act broke, and let your money do the talking. When you think about the way money influences people's lives, one of the most underrated forces is perception. The way you live, the way you spend, investment, and the way others see you has a huge impact on your financial journey. Acting broke is not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about controlling perception so that you can control your freedom. When you live below your means, you create space for choices. You're no longer trapped by the pressure to impress, and that lack of pressure changes everything. The truth is, most people live with financial anxiety because they've built their identity around how others see them. They spend to keep up appearances, but in doing so, they lose the flexibility that real wealth requires. By choosing to live simply, you shift the focus away from appearance and back to freedom. When you avoid showing off, something interesting happens. People stop expecting you to live a certain lifestyle. If you always drive a modest car, no one will ask why you don't upgrade. If you live in a reasonable home, no one assumes you're missing out. That perception protects you from constant comparison, and it frees you from the cycle of having to prove yourself with money. Instead of draining energy and cash to maintain an image, you can redirect that energy into building assets. The power of perception is that it changes the rules of the game in your favor. You're no longer playing to look successful, you're playing to actually become successful. There's also another layer to this. Acting broke reduces the attention on you. If people believe you're struggling or just getting by, they don't scrutinize your decisions, investment. They don't pressure you into expensive activities, and they don't constantly test your limits. This invisibility is a blessing because it allows you to quietly build without noise. While everyone else is chasing validation, you're stacking cash, investing, and creating real security. And the best part is that you don't need to explain yourself to anyone. Perception gives you cover, and in that cover, you grow faster. The internal perception matters too. When you act broke, you're training your own mind to detach from material rewards. You begin to see that happiness doesn't come from expensive purchases, but from control over your time and choices. Every time you say no to spending just to look rich, you reinforce the discipline that wealth requires. You start to view money not as a way to impress, but as a tool that buys freedom. That mindset shift is the foundation of long-term financial growth. Without it, even high earners collapse under their own spending. With investment, even average earners can quietly build fortunes. So the real secret behind perception is this: when you act broke, you free yourself from the expectations of others, you control your own desires, and you create room for wealth to grow in silence. And in that silence, the compounding does its work until one day you realize that by choosing not to look rich, you've built the life everyone else is still chasing. One of the most dangerous traps that prevents people from building wealth is lifestyle inflation. It happens so quietly that most people don't even realize they've fallen into it until it's too late. The moment income increases, the natural impulse is to reward yourself with upgrades. A better car, a bigger apartment, nicer clothes, fancier vacations. It feels justified because you worked hard for it. But here's the problem: every upgrade comes with new obligations, and those obligations eat away at the very wealth you're trying to build. What could have been invested and multiplied gets locked into monthly payments that only grow heavier over time. The raise that should have changed your financial future ends up changing nothing because the money disappears as fast as it comes in. Acting broke is the antidote to this trap. When you make a conscious choice not to upgrade your lifestyle with every bump in income, you create a gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where real wealth is born. It's the breathing room that lets you save, invest, and compound. Instead of trading more money for more bills, you're trading more money for more freedom. It may not feel glamorous to keep the same apartment after a promotion or continue driving the same car after a raise, but that restraint is what allows you to leap ahead financially. Every dollar that doesn't get absorbed by lifestyle inflation becomes a soldier working for you in the background. The psychological part of this is important too. Lifestyle inflation often comes from trying to match social expectations. When friends or colleagues upgrade, it creates pressure to keep up, and resisting that pressure can feel uncomfortable. But acting broke reframes the way you see status. It's not about proving your success with purchases, it's about proving it with independence. Once you break free from that comparison, you realize that keeping your expenses low isn't a sacrifice, it's a strategy. It's a decision to buy time, security, investment, and opportunity rather than fleeting status. Another overlooked consequence of lifestyle inflation is how it traps you in a cycle of dependency on your income. The more you spend, the more you need to maintain that lifestyle, and the less room you have to step back, take risks, or pursue opportunities. By acting broke, you avoid building a cage made of your own expenses. You stay flexible. If you want to switch careers, start a business, or take time off, you can because your cost of living is manageable. That flexibility is priceless, and it's something people weighed down by lifestyle inflation rarely get to experience. At its core, the reason acting broke works is because it flips the usual script. Most people let their lifestyle rise with their income, leaving nothing behind. But when you hold your lifestyle steady, every raise, bonus, or side hustle adds fuel to your investments. Over time, those investments grow far faster than any temporary upgrade could ever provide. And that growth is what ultimately creates lasting wealth. There's a unique strength that comes with keeping your wealth hidden, and it's what people often call stealth wealth. When others can't measure your success through visible spending, you gain a layer of protection that most overlook. Flashy displays of money attract attention, and that attention isn't always positive. Friends, extended family, and even strangers start to form expectations. Some may begin to ask for favors, loans, or handouts. Investment. Others might judge your decisions, question why you don't spend more, or criticize the way you manage your resources. By keeping your lifestyle modest, you sidestep all of these pressures. You blend in instead of standing out. Investment. And that gives you the freedom to focus on building quietly without distractions. The hidden advantage of stealth wealth is that it changes the way people interact with you. When you appear average, you're treated like everyone else. You don't have to defend your choices. You don't have to explain why you're not splurging, and you don't have to deal with jealousy or resentment from those who assume you have more. This neutrality is powerful because it allows you to build relationships based on authenticity instead of money. People connect with you for who you are, not for what you can provide. That foundation leads to stronger, more genuine bonds while protecting you from the complications that often come with flaunting success. There's also a psychological benefit. Living modestly, even when you could spend more, reinforces discipline. It keeps you grounded and reminds you that money is a tool, not a trophy. When you don't seek validation through material things, you free yourself from the endless chase of trying to outdo others. Instead, you direct your focus inward toward growth, investment, and the long game of wealth building. This mindset protects you from impulse purchases and bad financial decisions that often come from a desire to look rich. The less you feel the need to prove yourself, the stronger your financial foundation becomes. Stealth wealth also creates a safer environment. When people think you're doing just okay, they're less likely to target you with scams, schemes, or requests that drain your resources. You avoid unnecessary risks simply by being underestimated. That invisibility gives you room to maneuver. While others are busy trying to show off their latest car or luxury purchase, you're quietly stacking assets, compounding returns, and moving closer to financial independence without anyone even noticing. What makes this strategy so effective is that it puts the power back in your hands. You're no longer living under the weight of others' opinions or expectations. You decide where your money goes, you decide what matters, and you decide how to build your future. By staying under the radar, you protect your progress while giving yourself the space to grow without interference. Over time, that quiet, disciplined approach compounds into something far more powerful than temporary recognition. It becomes lasting financial security and true independence. One of the most overlooked truths about money is that it works hardest when you don't spend it. Every dollar that stays in your pocket, instead of being used to show off, is a dollar with potential. It's a seed that, when planted wisely, can grow into something much larger over time. Acting broke creates this opportunity because it stops you from draining your resources on short-term gratification. The car upgrade, the designer clothing, the expensive dinners, all of these give temporary satisfaction, investment, but they also take away the ability for your money to multiply. When you resist those purchases and redirect that cash into investments, savings, or business opportunities, you're essentially putting your dollars to work like employees. The more you hold back from wasting, the larger your team of money workers grows and the faster your wealth compounds. This is the essence of financial leverage. Most people think leverage means borrowing or using credit, but the most powerful leverage is time combined with disciplined saving. Every dollar you keep and invest becomes a worker that never sleeps, never asks for a raise, and never takes a day off. Over months and years, those dollars produce more dollars, and those new dollars join the workforce too. That compounding effect is what creates exponential growth, but it only happens if you give your money the chance to stay invested rather than spending it. Another key benefit of holding back is flexibility. When you have savings and investments working in the background, you gain options that others don't. You can take risks, explore opportunities, or weather financial storms without panic. Acting broke ensures that your money is always building a safety net under you. So even if something goes wrong, you're covered. That sense of security is invaluable, and it comes directly from the discipline of not using money to project wealth. Psychologically, allowing your money to work rather than spending it changes your relationship with wealth. Instead of chasing things, you start to chase growth. Watching your accounts build and your investments produce returns becomes more satisfying than buying another gadget or accessory. You realize that real wealth is quiet, consistent, and patient. It's not about the flashy moments. It's about the long-term freedom that comes from letting your money do its job. This mindset shift is what separates those who struggle from those who achieve financial independence. What makes this so powerful is that it doesn't require extreme sacrifices or even huge income. It simply requires discipline and perspective. By choosing to keep your expenses low and refusing to inflate your lifestyle, you're giving every extra dollar a chance to grow. Investment over years, those choices stack up into a massive difference. Where one person spends their raise and stays stuck, another invests their raise and watches it multiply. That's the true power of letting money work for you rather than using it to tell a story about yourself.